to church where I did. Graduated a year before I did. About a year or so after I graduated, we had a young man in our group at church that had gone away to school at Gainesville, came home for the weekend and had a brain aneurysm and never woke up. And he happened to be Frank's very best friend all through school and growing up and whatever. And during that experience with the funeral and, being together, all the age groups then, I noticed him. I had compassion for him because it was such a sad thing. So I kind of noticed him, and I guess he kind of noticed me. I sang in the choir. He was not a choir person, but all of a sudden Frank's singing in the choir. He couldn't carry a tune in a bucket, but he was singing in the choir. But we started dating. In the meantime, he and his brother joined the National Guard, went away for 6 months to boot camp. But we were engaged just a little while. When by the time he went away to boot camp for 6 months, he was ready to settle down and let's get married and whatever. And so we got married in May of '64. Had a really sweet wedding and sweet memories, and we were to celebrate our 50th anniversary in 2014. In 2013, Frank started having some health issues, and first it seemed like just minor things, but then as it progressed, it was obvious there was more going on than we knew. It took a while for doctors to kind of figure out what was going on. It was an autoimmune condition, and by the end of 2013, first of 2014, it was obvious that there was a very serious issue. Again, the doctors were stumped a little. He was continually losing strength, got to where he fell several times. We'd have to call rescue to get him up. So the doctors decided that in January that the best thing for him was to have surgery to remove his colon. But he wasn't in physical health to do that, so he was, we had him moved to a nursing facility where he could be reconditioned through physical therapy to get strong enough to have his surgery. He'd been there a week, and on Saturday his friend came out to visit. I went shopping with his wife, and I started calling our oldest son Brian probably around 11 o'clock or so. Well, every time I called, it went straight to voicemail, which was unusual. By mid-afternoon, I was getting a little concerned. By the time I got back to the north side of town, I was really uneasy. So I just went by Brian's house, and all three vehicles are there. It's just all these clues that there's something going wrong. And I am not an overreactive person, but I just felt in my heart something was wrong. So I called his brother, and the evening didn't get a whole lot better after that. At least they went to check and could not find him there, and we knew we had to pursue some other avenue. But in the meantime, I actually had to call Frank and ask him some questions about a key to Brian's house, and so then he knew that there was an issue. Well, I was finally able to go to sleep, only because I either had to go to sleep or call 911 because I was just so distraught. And I think, again, that's a mother's heart, that I felt such grief there, even though I really didn't have a reason that I knew of. But I did. I grieved and grieved and grieved there. So I went to bed. About 6 o'clock in the morning, I woke up, and a few seconds later, my doorbell rang. And at that moment, when the doorbell rang, I knew that it was not going to be good news. And my sweet daughter was there all by herself to tell me about Brian and what had happened. And they had planned for someone to be there with her, but things got mixed up, and the way things do, you know. But that's when I knew that he had been murdered, an in-home invasion robbery. Frank, bless his heart, it was so hard on him, and it had to increase the seriousness of his physical condition with the hopelessness and the depression of losing your oldest son, especially in such a tragic, senseless way. After Frank's surgery, and it was clear that he wasn't getting any better due to other circumstances, we eventually had no other choice but to have him moved to hospice. The nurse said, you know, they say the hearing is the last to go, and it would be a comfort to him to hear you sing. It would be a comfort to you, to all of y'all here. We started singing about 5 o'clock, and about 6:20 or so, the nurse started checking his pulse, and she would nod, you know, and finally about 6:30, he took his last breath, and we sang him into heaven.
Drive on, my special one. Don't you stop till you know you're gone. Drive on, my special one. Don't you stop till you know